Going live, loading. Hello. So we are on, it's live on Facebook. I'm gonna press on live on Instagram, checking connection. Give us a few seconds. And it's live. So hi there.
Hello.
Hey.
So we're happy to be on board. Hi, Just Be community and everyone who's there with us live and whomever is going to watch us later. We're very excited to cover a beautiful topic that we got inspired. So the speakers today are a beautiful couple. Soul family, part of the Just Be family. We've been collaborating together for few years now, and it's beautiful co-creation. So Hodi is a beautiful Iyengar yoga teacher, as well as Chris, her partner, who's an executive coach, having a lot to offer in terms of tools. Both of them together as conscious couple. I felt that it could be a very inspiring and beautiful voice to speak about a relationship during the quarantine. Myself, I'm married. It's been like more than 10 years now and 13 years in a relationship. I'm a mother of 3, and I am going through this beautiful experience. And I would like to have also and share my insight if it can be of any help to the community and dear friends and families. So, so just to, can we hear you? Just to check on the voice. How are you feeling right now? Just to check in.
We're feeling good. We're feeling good. Just something that popped into my mind as you were talking about. You've been married for 10 years. We've been married for 1 year, and coincidentally, our first wedding anniversary happened during the quarantine. So you can imagine that, yeah, that was a bit of a test for us to work out how do we celebrate our anniversary, first anniversary, one of the most important anniversaries during the quarantine. So yeah, so we had quite a few experiences to talk about, hence the reason why we're talking today.
Great. Well, same here, by the way, 10th anniversary at home with the kiddies, baking a cake. Amazing, right? Having said that, I would like you to share your insights about how has it been for you to be in quarantine together, and how challenging was it, if it was to be challenging?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Nabila, for having us on board. And it's been a great pleasure for me and as well as my husband, Chris, to work with you, to cooperate with you. We love Just Be, and we're very proud to be a part of it.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So has it been a challenge? Let's say that it's had its challenging moments. That is for sure. Like I believe every family, every couple, even every individual, certainly will be facing their challenges during the quarantine.
And knowing that we both come from a complete different background, different country, different culture. So from the beginning, me and Chris, we had some kind of challenging challenges together that we were looking to solve them ourselves. And of course, we have also a counselor to speak to when we kind of get stuck and we can't solve it ourselves. But this time of being together the whole time under the same roof, I think it was challenging for everybody. Plus, with your kind of like how do we say it? The challenges that you already have in your couple,
Yeah.
it can multiply it, you know?
But I would say that actually, for us, it kind of flipped on its head, really, in quarantine. Like, it's as if the quarantine forced us to really nip those, those niggly things that you have in a relationship, nip them in the bud. Why? Because there's no escape, so you stay within, you stay inside, and all that negative anger and energy builds up, or you just say, hey, this is not worth it. I've got to spend the next 22 hours of the day together with you. So let's just stop this now. And honestly, I would say that the quarantine period, and now even moving into Ramadan, which also adds its complexity, really has, it's almost like it really sort of pushed our relationship, advanced our relationship in terms of growth significantly. I mean, we're going to talk a bit later about some of the factors that have come into play. But wow, to say in the beginning there was some initial confrontation about staying in, as simple as staying in. For me, it came very easy. My background is I'm ex-military, so I have previous conditioning of having all the comforts taken away from me, the freedoms taken away, being told what to do, where to go, at what time, understanding what curfew is. So I have all these experiences that I could bring. But after just a few days, go on, I'll let you talk
For
about.
me, it was quite a challenge, especially the first week, or I can say like 4 5 days, because I'm a nature person, and I'm like a bird. And sometimes teaching yoga, you can imagine, I'm very connected to nature. So for me, it was like, oh my God, a disaster at first when they said you cannot go out, and especially if we have a little bit of like, because we both have strong energy, and sometimes just taking a walk by the lake, because we live at the Queens, is just freshen me up, make me more ready, my mind, my soul, everything, for teaching a class, or just taking a break of being home. But that was like, oh my God, no. So I started being a bit nagging, I want to go out, I want to go out, which thank God, we have a nice terrace, so I made the terrace actually looking nice to sit outside, but I still needed to get out and the walk being by the nature. Chris's mentality actually helped me to calm down. Although, as a yoga teacher, you kind of know how to maintain your peace. But this was difficult for me at first. But his kind of like strict, calm mindset was like, no, that's what it is. Stop. And I was like, okay.
This is one of the fundamental things, I guess, is acceptance of the situation. And I think what many of the frustrations people will probably have is, why should I have to stay inside? Why am I only allowed out at this time? And it was quite apparent in the early stages of the quarantine when there were, 8 p.m. curfew, and then we moved into the really strict zone. And people were celebrating outside as soon as it hit 8 p.m. There was noises and parties going on, people celebrating it, and it was almost like a resistance. It's like a resistance.
Even in your mind, you kind of think, who are these people to tell me
what to do? Yeah, exactly. But the military training actually teaches you and to just accept what is. I mean, we can even go down the whole philosophy, Buddhist philosophy of acceptance, and just looking at the reality for what it is. The present moment. It is what it is. What is within your control. And so, when those external factors are not within your control, you have no choice but to accept it. So, if you accept it, you remain calm. You have that inner peace. When you don't accept it, that's when the anger and the frustration builds up, and that is going to manifest itself outwards. It's going to manifest within, and then you're going to have the explosion. And if you're not careful, it's when you're stuck in a confined space with family members or husbands, partners, wives, whatever, they're going to be on the receiving end of that. And this is why I think acceptance is probably the single most critical element of quarantine.
And then the next of this, first is accepting the situation, and then it's truly accepting each other, you know, because in a normal day, you have the chance to just run out of the situation, get out of the situation, just put something under the carpet.
Stepping out, taking some fresh air,
Exactly.
staying, out of the field, out of the...
Or whatever, these things, they've been just pushed aside, but then understanding each other and truly accepting each other. And this is, for me, it's another layer, a level of loving actually each other. And it's a life-changing to me for the relationship. I'm not saying we're 100% there, but we kind of, we just saw it kind of blossomed somehow.
It's a very interesting point actually that you just made, because for us, it was very easy. Look, there's no doubt about it. I have red hair. She is Persian. You can imagine that when things get,
it's quite strong.
It's quite strong. Let's just say you can get quite strong. And so the ability to remove yourself from that situation and allow things to calm down, when that's taken away from you, I mean, that's a tool. And when that tool is taken,
where the next question is coming, I just wanted, if you can hold to that idea, Chris, for a while, just to stepping in with the challenge, just to close this first topic, about it, just to build on what you were saying from my perspective as like with my partner, as my husband, as well as the family dynamics around the kids. So the challenge was, as you were saying, building on what you said, the first layer was the resistance of first understanding what's going on, how long is this going to last for. The survival mechanism kicks in, right, with making sure that everyone's safe and you're stocked up and kind of not getting the exposure so much out there, trying to seek information about what's going on and find a clue around it. But then, you know, you have all these aspects, like there was a very beautiful dear soul friend of mine as well that is very elevated, who I checked in with, and he said something very, very strong about spiritual people who, no matter how spiritual you are, if you are facing a tsunami coming right down at you, you still, you know, are facing a tsunami. So regardless how evolved, how you know, sage and how wise you are, you still, we are all humans facing the situation whatever best way possible. Having said that, sometimes these situations brings about and makes you visit and revisit your, you know, you inside, and seeing how far you are and testing you. It's a big testing time, I believe. And I would like to acknowledge, and I would like to acknowledge in front of the community about, we are all in this together, as you know, the hashtag is, you know, saying it all over, and saying that, yes, it is a challenging moment, and it's challenging to all of us when we are learning so much from this situation. Again, to build on what you just said about, yes, it is time of what I call shadow work. So it's shadow, it's like, it's inviting us to build relationship with ourselves, making friends with our fears, understanding them, addressing them, hearing them, holding the space. So that was a big one for me. So the withdrawal was really very, very much needed. Didn't feel like doing much out there, and actually honoring the role of being, the founder of Just Be, and having to continue the work, and having to, this felt the need of serving myself to actually ground myself, and hearing all these, the resistance coming up about, oh, how far is this going to go, and so on, and having to compromise on your freedom and your movements, and feeling under control, and so on. And then this crisis within self, and then you have also to continue your respective role of being a wife, a partner to somebody who's also going through the same crisis of understanding and kind of absorbing, the changes, and then having then us as together as a couple, as well as managing the children, to having to just explain to them the changes and the fact that they cannot access school anymore, for how long, and so on. The surprising part is children are much more to adapt, much more easier for them to adapt rather than adults, because they didn't really had to question much. From the moment we explained the situation in whatever best we could, then immediately, okay, there was a bit of resistance in like not understanding why it's behind the screen the first few days, couple of weeks, and then now it's like, okay, it's a walk in the park. So it's interesting to go through this. I mean, how did I survive? And still, like the challenge is just being present there and just observing and become more and more aware of what's happening. So to continue and just come back to your thought process, Chris, you were saying about how did you make it through, right? Like talking of and addressing the tools that had served you.
Yeah. In fact, you just raised a very good point about the partner aspect of this, about doing the inner work, and I mean, that's fine. But part of the acceptance, we talked about the acceptance of the other person, and that, your partner, whilst we are all in this together, is experiencing this through their own lens. They are seeing this through their own world, their own reality, through their own upbringing, their own experiences. And so their reaction may not necessarily be what you would expect, because, we have normal time and then we have crisis time. And so part of the compassion, part of acceptance is actually saying, oh, actually my partner actually might be, not as good in this situation as I thought they would be, because different experiences are coming back to them. Who knows? We don't know, everything, but, there could be some childhood experiences that are creating some emotion around this time, about being contained, about scarcity mindset. We've seen throughout the world how the scarcity mindset kicked in, with people going crazy at supermarkets and hoarding, and we don't know what is going on in everybody's mind, and especially our partner's mind during a crisis, because it's a completely different set of rules when a crisis kicks in. Some people, there's a fight or flight. Some people are actively action takers. Some people withdraw because just through fear. And I think that's an important thing to recognize within the relationship, how the other one is responding to the circumstances, and actually compassionately saying, oh, actually, maybe I need to adjust my way to help them, because it's different.
It's beautiful. It's like building on, like observing each other's being, experience, and going through the entire experience, and then accepting, and sometimes not always understanding the approach of one another. And it teaches us how much, no matter how long we have been together, this experience is really bringing about so much, and that we didn't always address or got to know about each other, because it's already new within yourself, and you're self-discovering yourself through the entire process, and then also being an observer for your partner. Indeed, yeah. So how did you make it through? How are you
Okay.
making it through? Because it's to be continued, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. But day by
Well,
day, it's much better.
yeah, then we can start maybe talk about
And the
the
tools.
strengths that we kind
Yeah,
of, that was a lifesaver for us.
yeah, yeah, absolutely,
If you
absolutely.
can explain it.
Yeah, okay. So, um, as a coach, I understand positive psychology and the power of strengths and understanding the inherent talents and strengths that people have within them. And Hodis is also has a coach who she is learning about her strengths through the coaching process too. And what was really great, and it's something that we would definitely recommend doing, say, like an online strengths assessment test. You can do the psychometric test. It takes like 10 minutes. But when you really then understand the sort of top five character
Yeah.
strengths, these are your really core key strengths. When you understand them about yourself, you can lean on them more. When you understand them about your partner, then you can then start appreciating and having more compassion about, okay, why don't they do this? I mean, do you want to talk about how the weakness is we used to?
Yeah, first of all, when this was like a big change in our relationship, and Chris started taking coaching, I mean, he studied it and he kind of figured out about himself. There was such a shift in him that inspired me because I could see how positive he became about himself, about his reactions, everything. And then I got interested to know how does that work. When I find out about my strengths, it helps to first understand yourself, because when you know yourself, you can apply yourself better. Let me put it in that way, because we call it balcony and basement. Sometimes we don't realize that when we kind of drop down or things are not functioning properly, we're actually functioning from low part instead of the top part. I don't know if you can
Yeah,
elaborate on that
yeah,
better.
so within each strength, the balcony and basement is very good. That the balcony is when you are operating at your,
Best.
your best. This is when you're using the strength for good.
Let's say if as a woman, I have a quality of being a harmonizer, for example, is my number one. When I am in my best, I can bring things together and like mend things together nicely or create harmony. Okay. But if I'm in a lower part of myself, like basement, this is where I'm just like I can feel weak, or like, why is it always me? Why is it not the other one? So this was something in our relationship, because I am a quite emotional person, and Chris emotions are far down. And then if something would happen, sometimes I would just get upset and thinking, why is it me always have to walk forward? Why Chris is not taking the step forward? And I would, in my mind, I would judge him like, how selfish, how like egoistic as a man you can be, just like, this time is your turn in my head. But again, my harmonizer would take over. But when I understood it, my expectations of myself, of Chris, my husband, and even other people around me changed. Believe me, when I thought about, oh wow, this is why sometimes people are just, they don't know themselves even, and they just in the lower, in the basement instead of being on top. And I understood myself better, than why sometimes I'm stubborn about something that is my belief, or
Yeah.
so this was very helpful, because it helps us to first understand each other. Who is he, and why is he not applying certain things that is my expectation? And who is she? Why is she reacting like that? And then with these two view, we could kind of connect better.
I think it's important to say that when you operate in the basement, so the balcony is when you're at the best, but when you operate in the basement, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are not working to your strength, as in you're not doing enough. It could be that you're overusing it, and that's really important. But with some of these strengths, if it's maybe a strength like command, you could become too bossy if you overuse that strength. And so by understanding not just the strength, but where to use it at the best. This is when we started realizing, well, actually, the things that we were focusing on before, like we're quite, we're fairly conscious people, and before we would focus on weaknesses and saying to be, we would have the conversation with each other and say, look, okay, it doesn't seem that you get this. Is this something you can work on? This is not something you are not doing this. Can you work on this?
So let's say the finger was more like that, which we say always, the forefinger is towards yourself, but you're still pointing.
You're still pointing.
Strongly.
Absolutely.
That's what we usually do. The first thing we do is that in our challenges.
But like
human.
But for me, one of the things that would frustrate me would be maybe I would do more things around the house, or
for example.
Yeah, and so in my head, I'm like ticking off all the things I've done. And so it becomes a scoring process. But when I realized that, one of my top 5 strengths is achiever, and to just do things and get things done, and it's a fairly competitive strength to have. This is not within Hoddes's top 5 strengths. So then I realized, well, instead of complaining about that I'm doing this, embrace it, enjoy it. And if I can do this with my strengths, and Hoddes does this with her strengths, well, actually, we're not competing against each other. We're melting together, and we're actually boosting each other. We're moving forward, leaning not just on our own strengths, but on each other's strengths.
So, it's easier said than be done. And what we say is it happened. It truly happened. That was the beauty of it. Because from the beginning of relationship, we always say, bring the best out of each other, but words, when it comes to action, I'm not saying we still don't drop down. We do, we're human. But the coming back is faster to catch yourself until it becomes your natural habit. It will take some time. But to do that truly from your bottom, from your inside, it's a beautiful change and challenge. I would say that it's a gift.
I think from a conscious perspective and increasing consciousness, it's one thing to become more more aware of self, but to become more aware of other people, that's another level of consciousness. And I think that when you start entering into the awareness of others beyond yourself, it's a truly
goal?
Sorry?
The platinum.
Oh, the platinum. Yeah, we have a coach who he talks about 2 rules. The golden rule is to treat others how they how you would want to be treated. The platinum rule is to treat others how they want to be treated. And so again, that's another shift in mindset.
Well, yeah, indeed.
Powerful, very powerful for growth.
Yeah. And after that, we can go to our briefing.
Yeah.
And the things that really help us.
Yeah. Okay.
Planning.
Yeah. Just step in with my experience, like hearing you talking about like taking this basically crucial time, because it feels like this crucial time is being given to all the humanity to address all these aspects of selves that you didn't get the chance to really listen or hear or do something about because of so plenty of good reasons as life goes by. And so for some of us that did that self-work for some whatever reasons of being called for it or being passionate about it or so on. But if we talk about the mainstream overall, it's not always everybody's case. And however, everyone addresses their inner wisdom in different ways. It doesn't have to be through a meditation or practicing yoga every day or but it's we are spiritual beings, right, in a human experience. So this is in it and it's there. So having said that, in my household, we have different approaches towards spirituality or towards embracing, life and tapping on what you're saying about like we have different approaches and how to find that balance in looking at, and that mindset of focusing on the strengths and seeing what you're learning, what's your partner actually trying to teach you here, and learning different ways and different approaches, and addressing your open-mindedness, because it's so by completing each other, by learning from each other, it becomes much more rich in terms of experience. So, but as our ego kicks in, we resist difference, right? We don't really like change. So it's interesting how we see and observe those challenges that we go through. And although you do have the wisdom, as you're saying, Hodiz, it's like we're all human beings. When we learn tools, we implement them the best way we could. So it's a job well done, but then you also have the matter of a fact. So as a nature, my biggest inspiration is Mother Earth, and to see it's, you know, so many aspects. It's emotional. It lives so many phases from all the 4 seasons. It can be stormy, it can be happy and warm and sunny. And so as we are, as human beings. And one thing for sure that has helped me to go through this lockdown is to hold the space. That was a big and thing that I understood. It happened throughout my entire journey of being in a partnership, in a relationship, is that we are not all, we don't think the same. We don't have to. We're 2 different souls. We're two different individuals with different sets of experiences, and we are as the nature. We have emotional phases, and we are here to hold the space for each other, and not to try to take it personal when the person is going through her phases, right? And having that kind of yes, I'm first myself going through this experience, and I'm adjusting and trying to figure out a plan out of this and make the best out of the experience, so that's in the movie. But you're also the observer watching the movie, and having all your loved ones, talking about my experience on having, yes, my partner, and having also the kids playing out with their own emotional turmoils and going through their sets of experience, and stepping and understanding when to step in. And it's not about me, it's about us, and it's about each other, one another. And how can we hold the space for each other when someone is actually going low, as you were saying, in the basement, because it's required. Because actually the longest we stay in the basement, and the more we address all these aspects that we actually flee and don't always like to address, you know, what I call shadow work, you know, these aspects that we're not always aware of ourselves, but are so crucial. If you want to embrace the light, if you want to do a divine work, you need to create the space within yourself for it. So if you don't address these aspects, then where is the space for the light to come through? And for me, that's a big one. And I'm really enjoying not even judging the fact that this is coming out. I'm not judging the fact that, yeah, I might be scared sometimes, or, you know, uncertain, or not being always present, and all sorts of snapping or whatever happens throughout the entire day, and observing and being able to speak about it. A big one for me is the voice, in able to have this emotional intelligence of living the emotions as they come along, because they're all there expressing inner selves that hasn't been addressed for so long. So what I call inner child, all these, you know, all these aspects of yourself, younger aspects of yourselves, that they are there and they're now playing out in the movie, and we need to observe them, right?
Exactly.
And, yeah, and then okay, hear them, and then they might have taken over me to actually express in situations that I'm interacting with my partner or with my kids or so on, and then hearing that, and then have the adult hat to be able to then make a sense of it. And when the crisis goes, it's not when the storm is happening that you can make a sense out of, you know, whatever crisis happened in between the relationships, but more of like, okay, whatever is going on, let's hold the space for each other. That's what I call, like, when one partner is like going off, the other partner is there to kind of understand and observe and just be present in that moment, right? And allow the the kind of crisis of that flow of emotion to go on and ease, and then make sense of it, and then being able to voice and, hey, this is what happened. I believe that this came from whatever it came from. I apologize if this has hurt your feeling, or being in that sense. I mean, building on that, what has helped me as part of the tools that I had within my toolbox as a therapist and emotional intelligence coach, this beautiful transaction analysis tool that I had that always helped me throughout my entire life in my relationship is, as you were saying about, you, that finger that you point, right? So there is this typical victim and judge role within us, right? So as we were born, first born as a newborn, expected unconditional love, loved, awaited a miracle of life by the parent giving all unconditional love and being happy, a gift of life. So from that unconditional love of giving and being there and happy about the existence of that child, then we move on to, as such as life goes on, then the fact that, sleepless nights and all the reality comes along, right? And then from that unconditional love, we move to, oh, baby, please sleep. It's been like so many sleepless nights. Mommy really needs to sleep. Mommy really needs to go, to work or, wake up in the morning. So from that, the role of the victim starts, right? And the role of the parent becomes that judge that makes, the baby feel responsible, like, oh, because of me, mommy is not sleeping well. So because of me, mommy is exhausted, and so on. So the first role of the victim and judge starts from there. And then from the moment the child becomes, more, awake and with a critical filter in the mind starting developing, it starts becoming, understanding the dynamic and then responding from that victim role, being, oh, why did you conceive me from the first place? If you could not, take care of me, then the child becomes the parent, so the judge, and the parent becomes the victim. So 99% of the relationships are stuck in this victim and judge mechanism. So just, to come back to the finger pointed, this is a natural thing. Like the first thing you would do is like take the rifle out, boom, 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 and then you're busy building up the response of how you're going, because we're both going through crisis. And the understanding from that is like, okay, how can we not, yes, you are in the movie, you're playing whatever role in these two, but you're also the observer. So the third party is basically the adult. And in order to become the adult, you need to have done that self-work that we all did in our respective fields of, and that is a work in progress of, to forget, forgive, accept, as you're saying, and move on. That personal development, that inner work to become an adult finally. So how many of us, as like talking about population and humanity, have we done and addressed this work in understanding and shift from the victim and the judge, and then move to the adult that who is I am, so knowing self, I understand, I have full clarity of the situation with the distance to kind of make sense out of it. What am I learning from this? And then take a position to have a clear language of I am, yes, no, and not maybe, perhaps, or you should, you have, you must, and so on. So I just wanted to kind of step with this, like to say how important is that this was like for me, the strongest tool that I had, luckily, or just because of the sum of efforts that I have done on my being to improve my life and improve myself as an individual and as a person in relationship, that helped me go through that and understand that, yes, you can be in the movie, but you can also hold the space and become the adult that when the crisis go on, then you can make sense of it. And then as two adults in our partnership, then we can just make sense of that and get the learning and grow over the experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. And also with children, because they absorb all of this as part of their growth, it's a beautiful thing that if they see this is the mature way that parents act, they will understand that everyone has anger, that it will come out, but the way that it's dealt with afterwards and how they can control that, I think it's a beautiful
Teach them
education
also.
for them, for when they become adults. They understand then that this is the mature, conscious way to address frustration.
Absolutely, because it's part of the human nature, so that it's part of us as being part of the ecosystem, right? So why to judge it? And the more you try to suppress your anger by just like, trying to be the wise one, because for some of us who are in this field as well, kind of not really like the aspect of being angry. How could I be angry with all the tools that I have? And there's a problem here. I'm not applying, No, it is part of the human nature. It's part, but what are you doing out of this anger? It's an energy that makes you achieve, makes you, do so much, but how to use it at best. So first allow it to be expressed, allow it to be. And the more you allow, that was a big, big, big breakthrough that I had during the quarantine, because I was trying to, like talking about myself, trying to manage my anger, and trying to kind of deal with it in a way not to come out and make, but then I said, the more I was trying to deal with it, the more it was like, oh, wow, came out of nowhere. So then when it came, like the best you could, like to allow that anger to rouse, and then, the more you allow that voice, because it's part of you that it has been angry, hasn't been given the chance to express that anger back in the days. And now it's like just desperate to release that energy out, so that then it becomes an ally to you, and then you become less angry, basically.
Yeah.
It was a big through.
I remember sitting at Just Be, there was a facilitator, I won't name names, but they said something very, very interesting, that everyone has anger, but when it goes beyond the first 10 seconds, then you're switching into ego. And it's how you manage that part. I think you know who I'm talking about. So for me, certainly, and I think you as well, although you can observe it and you will go beyond that 10 seconds, I think just having the awareness to know that after that initial anger, it's okay, which part of my ego is affected here? Why is the anger continuing? Which part of the ego is saying, I can't let go of this? And why does it not want to let go of this? I think I think just having that kind of, again, knowledge, internal tool, whatever you want to call it, is a really powerful thing to have to help you get through those frustrations.
So building on that, how did your expertise and your tools that you have already in hand has helped you respectively to go through whatever you're going through?
One of the most important tools that we have was setting our rituals. And also, like when we wake up in the morning, this is something that we always had, and it really helped us during quarantine. The first thing we do after waking up is do our meditation. Like for me, it's prayer meditation. Chris does his own meditation, and then we talk and we have our coffee. And then I practice yoga daily. Chris sometimes join me, or he does his own exercise. And these are the things that set your mind and your physical body kind of ready for the day. I mean, for us, because we're used to it. And I believe that yoga is one of the tools, and exercising, of course, because we all have different needs, to help your mind and body. Even it can help relieve some anger and energy by practicing or exercising. These are beautiful tools. And of course, meditation, as everybody knows. And also,
I think actually we discussed this yesterday, one of the key things around routine, around the rituals, is that it's very easy with the quarantine and you are at home and you have your own flexible hours to go, I'm going to stay up late, I'm going to watch Netflix, and then I'm going to wake up late and I'm going to work late and I'm going to fit things in here and there. One of the things we did was we stuck with our routine. It was as if we still had to go to work at the same time. So we would get up at the same time. We would do there was some adjustment, but but only after the ritual. So we made sure that the meditation, everything was all done as if we had a normal working day.
Nothing changed for us. I mean, I guess it comes again from our background, me being trained for years as a yoga teacher, that my routine is because the mind actually likes the routine, and the healthy mind likes the routine. I mean, it's a suggestion for everybody out there can hear me. If you create a routine, even if you have kids, something simple that you know, in this time you do this, in this time you do that, in this time you do this, and it can be adaptable as well. The mind likes it. You feel more peaceful within yourself. So this for us didn't change. We would just, after like finishing exercise, whatever, we would get changed as if we're going to work. And then the next step was creating also space that, as we talked the other day, between me and Chris, this happened naturally. Like he chose to sit in the salon, behind the desk in the salon, and I chose to sit in the bedroom behind the desk over there. So we gave each other naturally space to be kind of like as if we're working in the office, you know. So that also helped us a lot to have our own space from each other. We would actually miss each other during the, like, what are you doing, how are you doing, every now and then, you know. And then
part of at the end of each day, we would plan the following day, plan all the tasks that needed to be done the following day. It's very important as humans that we have a purpose for what we're doing. And I believe that when you establish what needs to be done, you can focus on that. When you have a day where you don't set goals or objectives for the day, then it's very easy to get lost in Netflix, WhatsApp, social media. You can get lost in this and lose sight of actually you need to be productive. We're human. It's not good for our mind unless we are actively producing something.
Chris mentioned something very important here, purpose. Something that was very important for both of us. Purpose has, I think we need a session about purpose because it's a beautiful thing to focus on in our life. Of course, if you're ready for it, emotionally, mentally. But what also helped us was, I mean, for me, my week is clear. There are times and days, plus the virtual classes now, that I'm doing things. But then there are things that I add into my day. But knowing that, why you're doing this, and at the end of all of this, the goals, they don't need to be complicated, just the things that can help you stay focused and healthy. And finally, what can you contribute and bring to life, to others? This was one of the most important things. Community, because community is one of my value and it's very strong to me. And Chris also has special care for it. So what we came out with this, again, naturally by thinking, for Chris was he started writing a blog, which it turns out that he's a great writer. I mean, I don't want to say something good about my husband, but I mean, when I first heard him, I was shocked. You know, when something just blossomed from within you. It was so beautiful that I really had tears in my eyes, and I found a clapping, because it was just me and him clapping sound on YouTube to just make it something huge for him. So it was amazing. That was a quality.
By the way, can't wait to see it.
That was a quality that blossomed from Chris during quarantine.
And it was my way of offering something to the community. I can take my coaching tools, I can apply it to real life experience, and I can give that for free through my writing for others to read, absorb, and hopefully make some changes within their lives.
So linking that to the purpose, when the things come really from within you and you get insight about them, this is where you're kind of you are going towards your purpose, what actually we came here on earth to do. And this actually help you to kind of come out of yourself a bit, to just say, hold on a minute, why am I wasting so much energy in my relationship? To just keep pointing at him and kind of like why are we doing this? Let us just be one, become one, to be able to give our message out, to kind of like contribute in the world that is waiting out there for maybe one beginner yoga course that I can offer, you know, or Chris's blog, one sentence that can help a couple, you know, or a yoga pose, because this is my profession, that can calm a mind, that mother that can actually be a better mother in the afternoon for her child, you know. So all of that is linked, that helps you to come actually out of yourself, to just say, stop me and my ego. Let me bring my best to my partner, to my life, that both of us can actually offer something to the world, you know. This helped us a lot, and we actually enjoyed this kind of taking time and find out what we can do. And my challenge was offering classes virtually, which you know, going live now is like a piece of cake. And I can say it was the best part of the quarantine, like the best part of the day for me during quarantine, because you just feel your heart is fulfilled and you know you are doing your purpose. Because for me, being spiritual person, if we call it, someone who kind of, I'm also introverted, so it's easy for me just to say, I don't want to be out there. I just, what is this thing? Let me just do my thing here. But then actually someone need your voice, someone need your actions to feel better, to do better. You know, this was also my challenge from my side, to put myself more out there. I mean, I still have to do more, I believe, but you know, something like that.
Yeah, it's an achievement, right? Especially for, you know, going technology and having to organize a live. I'm actually very proud of myself. Let's see what the sound of the Instagram is going to be like. I just like, oh, what is this? How about the sound? So let's see if the Instagram live is going to be a success. Anyhow, doing the best here. But we're actually left with last 10 minutes. So I wanted to just to recap on what we have beautifully shared. What would be the self-help toolbox that you would like to share with the community to help them survive and go through the, you know, the quarantine with their partners and families?
Okay, I think
it's just like to funnel it down into a few of them that you'd like to share.
I would say, firstly, get back to basics. I think that's very key. I think filter out all the material rubbish that you can get absorbed in, because see it as a survival. It's a survival thing. What is it I need right now? And you'd be surprised that when you go back to the basics of eating basic food rather than, you know, dining out. When you go back to the basic of, I need to exercise. I don't have a gym. I'm going to have to do it on my balcony. When you think about the basics of um, what you wear, how you know, you don't have to get dressed up. You don't have to buy expensive clothes. When you just get back to basics, it's a real relief. So I would say the first thing would be get back to basics.
Second could be ritual.
Would be rituals. Establish some rituals that you
that suits you, your mind and your body.
Yeah. And by ritual, this is something you should do every day with purpose. You know, really focused with purpose.
I would always call it like it's a have to. As you brush your teeth, rituals are this. Like you need to, for example, do this. You need to meditate. You need to do yoga. You need to exercise.
Yeah. The third would be to plan your day. That way you are not on top of each other. You both have your things that need to be done, and it avoids those spaces in the day when friction can arise between both partners.
And there's one more thing that is very helpful. At night, if you can give yourself like 10 minutes time just to observe your day, just see how much you did, how much you didn't do, and also be compassionate to yourself, because again, we're all human beings and things can be done on the next day. But look at your day, how much, how do we say, what's the word in English? No, how positive you've been.
Having gratitude or, yeah.
At first in the morning,
Your efforts, right?
yes, well, something that I learned beautifully from my coach was the first thing after you do your rituals in the morning, put something out for the community that makes you feel good and maybe someone need it. And at night, start with gratitude for the day and just watch your day, everything that you have done, positive, negative, just watch it.
Yeah. I would say another important tool is creating space
Yeah.
between you and your partner. Allow each other the space, okay, and make it a thing that you allow each other the space. Find the strengths of each other so that you understand what is, natural to that person and what isn't natural to that person, and see where you can complement each other. I think that's truly important.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this last one. Try new things.
Yes, we don't have time to talk about it,
Try
but
new
try
things.
new things. It's so suitable for the mind. And also, one more thing to add, create some time to play. Again, the mind likes it. The mind likes sometimes to just childish thing, play with each other, laugh, and during the day, watch something that is funny or do something that is funny, play with your pet, create those
Have
kind
jokes.
of like,
just become a child for a part of the day so that it just releases all that.
It's actually a very, very big one, a very big one. I was coming to that, like the curiosity, being very curious about, like, it's a discovery. It's like, what was the movie of The Way of to Happiness, or La Vida Bella, La Vie est Belle, it was during war, and I don't know if you've watched this movie, but anyhow, it was during war, and a father taking the child and like making a beautiful, story out of a war zone. So how much powerful we can if we kind of change our perspective and see the best and make the best out of whatever situation, no matter how critical it can be, right? And the playfulness and the being curious about the experience. Okay, what's new? That's new, obviously, and we all throughout the entire humanity, we can see that how many phases that humanity had to grow over, and we've been gifted, and for some reason our souls has chosen to be part of this experience. So no matter how resistant we are towards it, right, we've all been resisting it, and we still sometimes, but yet I have chosen to be here right now. So if I've chosen to be here, I do have the resources, no matter how awakened we are or not, it is there. So let's be curious to go within yourself and dive within and ask and hear and listen to your thoughts and see yourself, watch, observe, be present. I mean, for me, if I'm to give one, like the highlight of the presence in this unique experience that all humanity is going through, at least for our generation, and make the best out of it as a child. So playfulness is a very big one. So just to, if you're going through an argument, just try to laugh about it. Maybe, yeah, when you go through the turmoil, but then you look at you, observe yourself, go back to the child that you used to be, and then you still are. See the kids, they go through a tantrum, and then, a few minutes later, all is gone, and they're back to, being playful and happy. So as we can, right? So, and voice, listen, good listening, holding the space for your partner, and ask question about, start with yourself, by just saying what you're going through, so that, rip yourself naked to say, this is where I am standing, this is how I'm feeling, and this is what I'm going through. And then, inviting your partner to perhaps to either, if they are willing to actually share their experiences, if they can, then yes, welcome. If not, it's okay. It's not because you have been coming out that the person needs to do it, your partner needs to do it, and not try to control free, because there's no room for control right now. No one is in control except you're trying to master your mind and be in your heart.
Yeah.
And operate from there and loving the experience rather than resisting it, because you can't do much about it. So by just loving it, embracing it, and understanding that it came from a free will, I believe, if whether we know it or not. At the spiritual level, it happened that we are here, and for some reason, if we are here, it means that there's some intake for us, and there's a learning curve. We're learning. Let's be kind to ourselves, and if we are falling down, yeah, let's just learn what am I learning from this fall, and we're going to stand up again and carry on. And this entire journey is going to be our legacy that we're going to pass on to, you know, the later generation. So yeah, so be the child in the experience and embrace with the heart, and we're being taken care of. That's something that I'm absolutely 100% convinced. Faith is a big one, and we're all learning to grow our faith towards whatever is there. Beautiful. I mean, we reached a stage. Anything that we'd like to add on? It's 4 o'clock. I haven't checked on the community because I need to check on my phone, and I didn't meant to be rude to disconnect from our conversation. I'm just going to go back to Facebook, but just please, if you would like to say anything else that you'd like to share.
I think I just want to really highlight again the very first point that was made at the beginning about acceptance. I think is really probably the most important aspect of being in quarantine. Acceptance of the situation, acceptance of your partner, of your children, and of yourself. And of yourself. I think to come to terms with what is, I think is probably the most powerful thing you can do during this time.
Beautiful. Sage, just connecting with the community and seeing if there are comments, just to attend them. So thank you for the encouragement, Sophia, Noel, Audrey. Thank you for watching us. It's been a real pleasure to be in your field, to be in your space. Thank you for sharing your experience, and to the world and to whomever is there to ready to receive. You are a very inspiring couple. I've always said from the first moment I got to know that you're together. It's amazing. And it's so insightful hearing you and hearing your experience.
No, I'd just be.
Yes.
Just be. It happened.
Oh, all right. Okay. That's nice. Beautiful. So we've come to the end of today's panel. So thank you all for being there. To those who has attended the live show. As I said, it's been a real pleasure to connect to the community, to hear the beautiful couple, Hodiz and Chris, sharing their insights. For me, it's a big one to actually come out with, you know, my personal experience live as well, but I'm really actually enjoying it for the sake of if it can shed the light for any person that needs some insights. We're all in this together, right? And the intention, more panels are coming up. It's really hard feeling to actually having to reach out and be out there. It's so rewarding. So I'm very, very grateful. If you have anything that you were saying, Chris and Hodiz, about the tools, perhaps you could just post, you know, about the tests. That was very insightful. Perhaps you could just post some link if you would like to share, maybe link on your blog as well. So that people can reach out, and please, community, reach out to us if you have any feedback. We're welcome. If you have any comments, anything that you'd like to address as subjects in the future, in the near future, for the future panels, we're ready to hear you, and your voice matters to us to improve and to serve at our highest and best. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
And we'll see you soon. Yeah, something that is coming up. I've been inspired by your combination of energy, your beautiful couple and synergy. And it could be really nice to actually serve by maybe offering webinars to elaborate on the tools perhaps in the near future, as well as maybe the yoga, the couple yoga, so that it can help other couples that would like to connect at that level, and allow them to share your tools and experience.
Definitely, definitely. Couple yoga is something that we are thinking about offering. We already practice together, but why not doing it all together?
So thank you, plenty of love, much gratitude to all, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.